And then he took the first step. The step that changed everything. Frank grabbed his coat, walked down to the local newspaper office, and placed an announcement for Sunday morning. Tomorrow, I will preach a sermon titled, "What I Would Do If I Had $1 Million." It was bold. It was risky. It was the beginning of something incredible. As Frank walked back to his room, his heart pounded, not with fear, but with fire. He had crossed the line from wishing to deciding. And that, my friend, is the point where miracles begin. Sunday morning, the city was wrapped in a soft mist. Frank, who had stayed up all night shaping his sermon in his mind, felt an unusual calmness in his heart. He looked into the mirror. There was a firm line of determination on his face, and that spark in his eyes that only belongs to those who have decided they will not turn back. The sermon was written, yes, but the fire inside him was far more powerful than any ink on paper. He dressed, took a deep breath, and stepped out toward the church. All the way, one thought kept echoing in his mind. Today, my dream will flow through my words and open the door to reality. The church doors swung open. People entered slowly, like any ordinary Sunday. Some came out of habit, some for peace of heart. But none of them knew they were about to hear a message that would not only change the destiny of one man, but impact thousands of lives to come. Alone on the stage, yet not alone, Frank reached the pulpit, extended his hand toward his notes. Empty. He had left his carefully written sermon behind in his room. For a split second, his heart skipped a beat. But then, almost instantly, this is God's plan. Something deep inside whispered, "Speak from your soul, not from paper." He closed his eyes, took a breath, and began to speak, not from memory, but from passion. He spoke of his dream, a college where young men and women would learn by doing, a place that would break the chains of outdated methods and breathe life into education. And then he said the words that electrified the air. "If I had $1 million, here is what I would do." Every sentence poured straight from his heart. His voice carried fire, raw, unfiltered, unstoppable. He didn't just preach. He painted a picture so vivid that those listening could almost touch the dream he saw. When he finished, silence filled the room. For a brief moment, a silence heavy with something powerful. And then it happened. From the back row, a man rose slowly. He walked forward, steady and calm, until he stood at the pulpit. Frank wondered, what now? The man extended his hand and said, "Reverend, I liked your sermon. I believe you can do everything you said. If you had $1 million, meet me at my office tomorrow. I will give you that million." That man was Philip D. Armour, and within 36 hours, Frank's dream had turned into reality. There comes a moment in every dreamer's life when they are faced with a single, defining question. Do I dare to take action, or do I keep dreaming forever? For Dr. Frank W. Gonzalez, that moment came on a quiet Saturday afternoon in his small, dimly lit room. For nearly 2 years, he had nurtured a powerful desire, almost an obsession. The vision of creating a new kind of college, a place where young men and women could learn by doing. But dreams, no matter how beautiful, remain fragile unless backed by decisive action. Gonzalez knew this truth deeply. He had spent endless nights pacing the floor, pondering the same burning question. How can I raise $1 million? The figure was enormous, almost impossible for a young preacher with no wealth or influence. Yet deep down he refused to let go. His soul whispered, "Where there's a will, there's a way." On that Saturday, something shifted inside him. It was as if every fiber of his being rebelled against hesitation. He realized that waiting for perfect conditions was a trap, a prison for dreamers. He slammed his fist on the desk and declared to himself, "I will get that $1 million within a week." Those words were not just spoken. They were felt with such intensity that they ignited a new force within him. Psychologists today call it a definite decision backed by burning desire. The moment he made that declaration, fear vanished. Doubt disappeared. For the first time, he felt like the master of his destiny. What happened next was nothing short of magical. That same evening, he called the newspapers and announced that he would preach a sermon, the following morning titled, "What I Would Do If I Had $1 Million." The power of bold commitment. Think about this for a moment. Gonzalez had no notes, no formal preparation, just 2 years of passionate thoughts boiling inside him, waiting to spill out. He spent the night shaping his ideas into a message, but in truth, the sermon had been forming in his heart for months. When Sunday morning arrived, he walked into the pulpit without his written notes. At first, panic surged. He had left them behind. But then something remarkable happened. Words flowed like a river, fueled by emotion and conviction. He spoke with such raw sincerity that every soul in the audience felt his dream as if it were their own. He didn't just describe a college. He painted a living vision. Classrooms buzzing with hands-on learning, workshops where theory met practice, a generation of students equipped for real-world success. His voice trembled not from fear, but from passion so deep that it touched even the most skeptical hearts. Unbeknownst to him, in that very audience sat a man who would change his life forever. Philip D. Armour, a wealthy businessman known for his bold investments and keen sense of character. The defining moment. When the sermon ended, silence hung in the air for a brief moment. Then, slowly, Armour rose from his seat. The sound of his footsteps echoed as he walked toward the pulpit. The congregation watched in curiosity. Reaching out his hand, Armour said words that would echo in history. "Reverend, I liked your sermon. I believe you can do everything you said. If you had $1 million, come to my office tomorrow morning and I'll give it to you." Imagine that feeling. 2 years of yearning, countless nights of doubt. And now, in a single heartbeat, the impossible became reality. Within 36 hours of making a definite decision, Gonzalez had his $1 million. With that gift, he founded the Armour Institute of Technology, an institution that would shape countless lives and leave a lasting legacy. Lessons that can change your life. This story isn't just about money. It's about principles. Timeless truths that can transform any dream into reality. 1. Definiteness of purpose. Know exactly what you want. Vague wishes create vague results. 2. A burning desire. Not a casual wish, but an obsession that consumes you. 3. Faith in action. Speak, act, and think as if your dream is already real. 4. The courage to step forward. Opportunities rarely come to the timid. They favor those who dare. Think of it this way. Gonzalez didn't wait for luck. He didn't say, "If only I had the money." Instead, he said, "I will get the money." That one decision changed the trajectory of his life and of thousands of others. Now pause and ask yourself, what is your $1 million dream? What would you do if fear and doubt weren't holding you back? Because the truth is, the same universal law that worked for Gonzalez works today. The formula hasn't changed in over 100 years. Definite purpose, chas. Burning desire, action, to success. Opportunities aren't hiding. They're waiting for bold dreamers to claim them. All it takes is that one fearless step. That one unwavering decision that says, "I will make it happen." Remember this. Your mind is a magnet. What you focus on with intensity and emotion, you attract. Gonzalez attracted $1 million not by wishing, but by deciding and acting. So, what decision will you make today? When you hear the name Philip D. Armour, what comes to mind? Most people think of one of the giants of American industry, a man who built an empire in the meatpacking business. But to Dr. Frank W. Gonzalez, he was more than a name. He was the miracle that turned an impossible dream into a breathtaking reality. Picture this scene. The young preacher, heart pounding with excitement, walks into the grand office of Philip D. Armour the very next morning. He isn't walking in like a beggar, nor like a man who has doubts. No, he walks in with the calm assurance of someone who knows that the universe has already said yes. Mr. Armour looks at him intrigued. "Reverend," he says, "I meant what I told you yesterday. You have fire in your eyes. You have something most men lack. A definite purpose backed by a burning desire. And that, Reverend, is why I am going to give you what you asked for." Can you imagine the wave of emotions that swept over Gonzalez at that moment? In less than 36 hours from the time he made the decision, a bold, unwavering decision, his million-dollar dream was a reality. Stop for a second and think about this. What really happened here? Was it luck? Was it a coincidence? No. It was the law of success in action. A law as old as time, as real as gravity. Gonzalez didn't wait for someday. He didn't sit around hoping the right opportunity would knock on his door. He made a definite decision, backed by faith, fueled by desire, and moved by action. That combination? It's unstoppable. This isn't just a story from the past. This is a blueprint for your future. Do you have an idea, a dream, a vision that keeps you awake at night? Maybe it feels impossible. Maybe everyone around you says, it can't be done. But here's the truth. If you can see it in your mind, and if you're willing to stake everything on it, you can make it real. Let's be honest. Most people don't fail because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they aim too low and hit. Now here's the part that separates the dreamers from the doers. Speed of decision. Think about it. For 2 years, Gonzalez thought about his dream. 2 years of planning, hoping, wishing, and nothing happened. But the moment he decided, the universe moved with him. Within 36 hours, doors opened, opportunities appeared, and $1 million flowed into his life. That's the magic of definiteness of purpose. But there's more to this story. Something so powerful that, if you really understand it, it could change everything for you. The $1 million wasn't the real treasure. No, the real treasure was what that money built. The Armour Institute of Technology, a place where young men and women could learn by doing. Gonzalez didn't just dream of money. He dreamed of impact, of building something that would outlive him. And that's another secret. Dream for something bigger than yourself. Money is just a tool. Purpose is what gives it meaning. Fast forward to today. That principle hasn't changed. Whether you want to build a business, create art, or launch a startup, the steps are the same. 1. Decide exactly what you want. No vague wishes. Be specific. 2. Set a deadline. Give your dream urgency. 3. Create a plan. Even if you don't know how, just start. 4. Move into action immediately. Don't wait for perfect conditions. They'll never come. 5. Refuse to quit until you win. Let me ask you this. What's your $1 million idea? Seriously, what is it? Because here's the truth. Ideas are the currency of the future. They've built empires, industries, and entire nations. Coca-Cola started with an idea. Apple started with an idea. Netflix, Amazon, Tesla, all ideas. But ideas alone are worthless until you mix them with belief, purpose, and action. Now, maybe you're sitting there thinking, but I don't have $1 million idea. Let me challenge that. You do. Everyone does. The problem isn't ideas. The problem is most people kill their ideas before they even take their first breath. You say things like, I'm not ready. I don't have the money. What if I fail? Guess what? Gonzalez didn't have the money either. But he had something far more powerful. A burning desire and the courage to act. Here's the final truth, and I want this burned into your mind. The only limitation you have is the one you set in your own mind. That's it. That's the secret. So the question is, are you ready to decide? Are you ready to stop waiting and start creating? Are you ready to claim your $1 million dream? Not next year, not someday, but now. Because the law that worked for Gonzalez is still alive, and it's waiting for you. Remember this. One idea, one decision, one act of faith can change everything. So what will you do with yours? Think about it. What really happened in that moment when Dr. Gonzalez declared, "I will get that $1 million within a week"? Did money suddenly appear out of thin air? No. What appeared was something far greater. The power of a definite decision. That single act transformed a dreamer into a doer, and a vague hope into a burning reality. You see, the world doesn't reward wishes. It rewards decisions backed by unwavering faith and consistent action. Every fortune, every empire, every groundbreaking innovation has one common starting point. An idea, fueled by a decision so strong, it wipes out every excuse. Now imagine this, a young preacher with no money, no influential network, and no guarantee of success. Yet, within 36 hours, he had $1 million in his hands. Why? Because he took the first step that most people never take. He didn't just wish, he decided. And here's a truth you need to tattoo on your mind. When you know what you want, and you want it badly enough, the how will always show up. The world steps aside for the man who knows exactly where he is going. The psychology behind his success. What happened in his mind is the same process that has created every self-made millionaire in history. It's called the burning desire principle. When your desire becomes an obsession, when it dominates your thoughts day and night, when you visualize your goal as if it's already yours, then, and only then, will you unlock the doors to opportunities that were invisible before. Science proves this. Our brains are like magnets. They attract ideas, people, and resources that harmonize with our dominant thoughts. Dr. Gonzalez was not a magician. He was a man who understood how to control his mind and direct it toward a definite aim. Here's what most people get wrong. They wait for perfect conditions, for resources, for luck. But life doesn't work that way. The conditions will never be perfect. The money will never just come. You create the conditions by acting on faith first. How this applies to you today. Fast forward to today. We live in a world overflowing with opportunity. Digital business, AI, global markets, platforms like YouTube, TikTok, e-commerce. Yet most people are still sitting on the sidelines saying, if only I had money, if only I had connections, if only I had luck. Do you know what separates those who win from those who wish? It's the same principle Dr. Gonzalez used over 100 years. Ego, definiteness of purpose. Decide what you want, write it down, obsess over it, and then take bold action even when you don't know how. Remember this, the how is none of your business at the start. The WHY and the decision are everything. The how will reveal itself after you commit. A call to action for your life. So let me ask you, what is your $1 million idea? What dream have you been carrying in your heart, waiting for the right time? Here's the truth, the right time is now, not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Success loves speed, and opportunities vanish when you hesitate. Stop saying I can't because, and start saying I will because I've decided. Make that decision today, and watch how life rearranges itself in your favor. Burn this into your mind. Riches never respond to wishes. They respond to plans backed by burning desire. So, as you listen to this story, don't just admire it, apply it. Create your own sermon, your own $1 million decision, and then step into action like your life depends on it, because it does.